Okay, let's just dive right into it. Today, we're looking at some absolutely fascinating ancient Jewish texts to unravel a concept that honestly gets misunderstood all the time, and that is holiness. You know, usually when we hear the word holy, we instantly think of something completely untouchable, distant, or maybe, I don't know, floating on a cloud somewhere, right? But the sources we're exploring in this explainer today, they offer this beautifully light, super friendly, and incredibly practical definition of what it actually means to be holy in our everyday lives.
So our starting point is a quote from the Midrash Tanhuma. This is a classical commentary, and it's interpreting a verse from the book of Deuteronomy. The original verse literally says, "This day, the Lord your God commands you." And the commentary stops and asks this just brilliant question. Why does it say this day? I mean, these laws are ancient. And the answer it gives is so profound. It says, every day they should be in your eyes as new. It's literally connecting a simple Torah verse to this incredibly powerful practice of mindfulness. It's the ultimate challenge, really, to wake up and see the world completely fresh every single morning as if you're experiencing your life for the very first time.
To kind of put this into perspective, think about that sudden realization when you notice the breathtaking colors of a rainbow caught in everyday lawn sprinklers. You know that feeling? That is the exact kind of awakening our source material is describing. It's this profound shift where the world suddenly becomes incredibly beautiful simply because you're finally seeing it. That's the magic of experiencing life as if it's brand new. And honestly, it's why we revisit the same lessons over and over, why people pray daily, and why we engage in all these routines. The goal isn't just mindless repetition. The goal is returning to the exact same moment, but you are different, which allows you to see the magic in the mundane, all over again. Well, just a few verses later, Deuteronomy actually builds on this. It introduces the whole idea of what it means to be a holy people, but it pairs it with a rather, well, intense phrase. It says, "to make you supreme over all nations." It's basically telling the people that following this path sets them apart, giving them a special designation as both holy and, frankly, supreme.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room, right? We really need to address this. How in the world does claiming to be supreme fit into this beautiful, mindful, humble worldview we just talked about? If we're out here talking about finding beauty in lawn sprinklers and waking up with fresh gratitude, the idea of being supreme over all nations feels a little grating, doesn't it? It sounds elitist. Honestly, it sounds like pure arrogance. To resolve this tension, our source text takes us on this fascinating little detour into ancient legal philosophy. To solve this mystery of what holiness and supremacy actually mean, we're going to pivot to the Talmud, specifically Tractate Chullin. Now, the Talmud explores this seemingly dry, highly technical legal term called mi'ilah. And mi'ilah is essentially the concept of sacrilege. So back in ancient times, if an item, or say an animal, was dedicated to the temple, it became holy. If you then took that holy item and used it for your own everyday, mundane purposes, boom, you committed mi'ilah. You basically misappropriated something completely sacred.
But here is where this seemingly dry legal debate becomes an absolutely profound life lesson. We get this game-changing ruling from a sage named Rabbi Yochanan. He states, there is nothing whose purpose has been performed that is subject to milah. So, what does that actually mean? It means that once a holy object has completely fulfilled its dedicated specific task in the temple, it's no longer restricted by the laws of sacrilege. Once its job is done, its whole holy status changes. I mean, that is a literal mic drop moment in Talmudic law.
And when we decode that Talmudic law philosophically, we discover something completely amazing about human nature and spirituality. True holiness, it turns out, isn't some permanent, static status of being somehow better than everything else. Not at all. It simply means having a specific, active mission and executing it. You are holy when you are fully dedicated to a purpose. So when the source text talks about becoming a holy people, it's not talking about some innate superiority. It's talking about being deployed for a specific task. You're dedicated. You literally have a job to do.
Okay, so how exactly do we apply this active purpose? To understand that, our explainer turns to a foundational text of Jewish mysticism called the Tanya. The Tanya maps out two totally different paths for serving your purpose. You've got the left side, which represents restriction. It's all about boundaries, keeping your actions hidden, being super private, or honestly, just doing the absolute bare minimum required to fulfill your duty. But then you have the right side, and this is the path the text really encourages for true dedication. The right side is all about expansion. It's about boundless giving. It's operating in this wide open space, going way beyond your basic limits, and just pouring yourself entirely into your mission without holding back whatsoever.
Now let's bring this all together and finally resolve that earlier tension. Remember that super uncomfortable word supreme? Well, a 19th century commentary known as the Mei HaShiloach resolves this whole thing for us by looking really closely at the original Hebrew word used in the Torah, which is hiamarta. He translates this not as some toxic, arrogant supremacy, but as a mutual, loving elevation between humanity and the divine. It's this beautiful reciprocal relationship. Humanity boasts about the greatness of the divine, and the divine boasts right back about the beauty of humanity.
Let's try to ground this with a perfect everyday analogy. Being supreme, or elevated in this context, is absolutely not about looking down on anyone else. Think of it like being at a live concert. You know, some fans will push and rush to the very front row just to get as close to the band as possible. Does that mean they're objectively better or more worthy than the people just chilling in the back? Of course not. It just means they have this eager, overriding desire to get close. Or think of lovers who haven't seen each other in a really long time. One might just drop their bags and sprint across the room to reunite. That sprinting lover isn't superior to anyone. They're just acting out of an intense, dedicated pull. And guys, that is what the texts mean by being a holy, elevated people. It's just an eager rush toward your purpose.
Which brings us to our final and definitely most important takeaway. We've gone from finding rainbows in lawn sprinklers to ancient temple laws of sacrilege, all the way to lovers rushing across a room. And it all distills down to this one single actionable idea. Holiness is simply about having a purpose. You are completely dedicated to making things better. So as you step out of this explainer and back into your everyday life, the main question you really need to ask yourself is this. If being holy just means having an active, expansive mission, what are you going to dedicate yourself to, and what can you do better for the world today?